Hey everyone, it's been a while. Sorry about that, I've been hard at work working towards the Platinum Trophy on Skyrim. Now that we've got a lot more time on our hands, I'm sure we've all been spending a lot more of our time playing our favourite video games, or perhaps games we've been meaning to play for a while but haven't quite managed to get round to. The game genre probably most suited to pouring hundreds of hours into is the RPG genre, so I've decided to make a video on 3 great role-playing games that you should check out in Dreams. All 3 came out relatively recently, I think. I'm not really the best when it comes to keeping up to date with stuff, I'm not even sure what month it is right now. Okay, so the first game up is Relic Hunter. If I had to describe this game to someone, I'd probably say it's a bit like Dark Souls, but in French, which I feel adds a little extra touch of immersion maybe to this gothic setting. Thankfully, everything's been written in English too, so those of us living outside Sweden or whichever country it is that speaks French can understand. So Relic Hunter is like a sort of dungeon crawler where you creep through this gothic fantasy environment, but it also has a survival element thrown in where you have to collect sheets and wood in order to make torches. Maybe Dark Souls has crafting too, I don't know, I've not played Dark Souls. I'll add that to the list of stuff to do before I maybe possibly go back to school sometime next year. You need these torches to explore the dark areas of the game. It's also imperative that you realise this game has a day-night cycle. At night you need a torch to see, and the dead will visit you. The dead will visit you, that's right. It's a more subtle way of saying the dead will jump out at you in the dark and try to grope you. It's probably good that it doesn't say that, because then I would have stopped playing then and there. I actually quite like the torch mechanic and how every time you enter a new area you need to rummage around to find the necessary components to progress, because down in the dungeons, even with a torch, visibility is limited, which makes every encounter heart attack inducing and is the pivotal element when it comes to combat difficulty. It makes a change from dungeons in a certain other game I may or may not have already mentioned in this video, in which ancient tombs devoid of human contact for millennia are somehow almost as well lit as my neighbour's fence when they decided to have a barbecue and then leave the house? Seriously? Intense hand-to-hand combat is, gameplay-wise, more or less the focus of the game. It's not too difficult, at least not when you can see more than 2 meters in any direction, because unlike many Dreams games, the combat actually controls really nicely. Not only can you block, but you can actually use it to advantage because the enemies either have attack patterns or telegraph their attacks. Maybe they telegraph their attacks a little too much. I think if the Black Knight was to have multiple attacks with the ability to chain them, it would live up to its aesthetic, because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little intimidated walking up to this guy for the first time. But only the first time. Also, I found a neat little trick where you can fight the skeletons over the top of this beacon. You can reach them with your sword, but they can't with their arms. You might think it's poor AI that prevents the skeletons from just, I don't know, going around the beacon, but remember that after hundreds of years their brains have probably partially decomposed. Obviously they're going to be less intelligent than even the thickest living person, you know. And if you think the AI in a game made by probably just one person in a few weeks or months is bad, well...
Please don't kill me! Did you see someone run past just now? I'm going to track down that thief and murder him. You won't leave Skyrim alive!
There you go. This game isn't exactly story focused, which makes a nice change. It's refreshing just to be thrown in the deep end and make up your own mind about this dark setting as you experience it. You do, however, find a few notes on your journey. Revealing the story slowly through notes and visuals fits the mysterious, unsettling atmosphere of the game. It reminded me of games like Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion, which hint the stories of other characters in fragmented pieces. Maybe some more lore or exposition will be revealed later, I don't know. I assume this game is still being updated. No doubt before this video releases, a whole new bloody island will be added with a 60-hour quest line and the additional feature of being able to adopt kids, because the sort of people who play action RPGs are definitely the sort most suited to raising functional children. The game does have a short opening sequence. A peaceful, moonlit night. Perfect tranquility. And I thought the dead was supposed to visit at night. Well, I can't see any dead here. Oh, except for maybe him. Oh, it's okay, he's not dead, just sleeping. He's gonna have a hell of a fright when he wakes up, though. I was quite surprised to find this game was set in 1876, but hopefully this means the creator has intended to also add a city or some sort of industrial area later on. Maybe some of the enemies will have guns, I don't know. It opens up a lot of possibilities, though. The first section of the game has some exploration, as you are required to both assemble a torch and also find a weapon. I mentioned before that you find a note on a tree hinting that some relic resides here, which is possibly responsible for all the dead that keep visiting you. These notes have been written by Alfred. Maybe the fact that he's named specifically implies the player character has some sort of connection with him. That would be interesting to find out. The game consists of open 3D spaces like this, which give you an opportunity to really absorb the game's atmosphere, and intense combat scenarios that will have you on edge the entire time. Overall, the whole feel of this game is just perfect, really. It's probably one of the best games I've played in Dreams so far. The visuals are realistic, the atmosphere is dark and unsettling, the combat is incredibly satisfying, and the music proves to enhance every moment. You should all check it out, it's great, though I imagine a lot of you already have, as it is probably the most popular game on this list. So therefore, for the second game, I decided to go with something a little more obscure, and I think a little less recent as well. This game is Elven, which in many ways is the complete opposite of Relic Hunter, in that it is a short, completed narrative adventure, and also not in French. However, there is no doubt that this obscure game is just as enjoyable an experience as the last one. The first thing you do upon starting the game is select your character. There are an entire 2 characters to choose from. I'm not sure if they play any differently or have any different dialogue, but regardless, of all the games I've played on Dreams, it's come the closest to character customization. The game opens with the reveal of the world's map. Eastern Desert, Dragon's Bay, Scorched Lands, and Unicorn Hills. The map is used to give exposition to the story. The cutscene is actually really well done, but I feel it could have done with some voice acting. That goes for the game in general, though voicing an entire game is a lot of additional work for someone who has already managed to make the plot, gameplay, characters, etc. So there's nothing to hold against the game, really. It's still better than the Morrowind opening, which makes me feel like I've just stood up too quickly.
Wake up. Why are you shaking?
After the opening cutscene, you wake up in your house with the objective of meeting your friend. The house is great, it's full of detail, interactive, and has an incredibly alien aesthetic that diverges from those common in fantasy games. Nothing against the gothic environments of Relic Hunter, but it's great when somebody goes for something entirely new. I have so many questions about this world, such as, why do the houses have no doors? Won't I be cold in winter and too hot in summer? What's to stop the dead from visiting me in the night? Before leaving your house, you need to activate your Wisp, which acts as your menu. The fact that your menu is almost like your pet just goes to show how much care and attention to detail has been put into just a 30-minute adventure. It's like in this magical world where doors don't exist. In-game menus are an actual canonical, tangible thing. The only complaint I really have with the game is the lack of music. I don't know if it's too quiet for me to hear or if it's just not there at all, but music is really important in a game and makes the experience a lot more enjoyable. There's plenty of good music other people have made, so you don't even have to make anything yourself. In fact, Media Molecule have loaded their own tracks that you can use. Though these same tracks are used by about 50% of the other games on Dreams. So anyway, we locate the friend and follow her off somewhere. There's a lot of dialogue between characters which really fleshes them out. The main character doesn't talk at all, but his personality and aspirations are clear through his interactions with other things. After doing a little exploration, I found a woman sat in some water and she invited me to sit with her. Apparently she loves the water here. I thought maybe if I sat in the water long enough I'd get some XP. Instead I just got wet. This game incorporates traditional RPG elements in addition to platforming with the ability to glide using your wings. The platforming feels really fluid and breaks up the combat and story moments in order for the game to feel more well-rounded as a whole. The fact that this game manages to stand out as both an RPG and a platformer is part of what makes it so impressive. The combat is not quite as well done as Relic Hunter, but still good as Dreams games go. The standard attack requires you to be in close range with the enemy, so you will lose a substantial amount of health and it's just not worth doing. The spin attack does more damage, so is effective as long as you can manage not to get hit yourself. I became accustomed to it pretty quickly and used it quite a lot. Really though, I suggest you just use the Wisp attack as it's an instant kill and also protects you from damage. It has a small cooldown, but on no occasion throughout the game today feel overwhelmed by enemies. By attacking enemies and collecting crystals you can level up. Each time you level up you gain a random perk, which makes the whole process exciting as you slowly become more and more effective at certain things. However, I did find that when you die the enemies respawn but your progress towards the next level does not reset. This is very easily exploitable, allowing you to level up indefinitely, though I assume there's some sort of level cap and the nature of leveling up prevents you from becoming really overpowered. Now back to the story. The real inciting incident is when your friend gets kidnapped by these evil demons who also set fire to the forest. You escape the burning forest and wake up floating down a river. You find yourself in a sort of hub world containing enemies and secrets of its own, in addition to 3 towers. The first 2 towers must be cleared in order to access the final tower, which is where your friend is imprisoned. This is a great way of making a condensed open world. It's like you're running around on the actual in-game map. This is a possible solution to the incapability of Dreams to render huge open environments. And this hub world does have plenty of interesting stuff to do, be it platforming challenges rewarding you with crystals or an actual interactable farm. I'm not really sure how the farm works, but I managed to pick up a watering can and that felt pretty good. So the towers are really the meat of the game. They're essentially platforming challenges with enemies to either battle or completely ignore. These enemies fire projectiles though, so if you do leave some behind, they will make the platforming a little tougher. Also, can I just comment on how awesome this hub world is? I mean, there's literal animals that you can pet. Although petting the animals did feel a bit weird. In the last tower you face off against the demons, who are a lot tougher than the cheese monsters from earlier, unless of course you use the Wisp attack. The final challenge has you face off against the source of the coronavirus itself. You know things get serious here because the music decides to show up. You have to destroy all 3 of the beam connections, which involves a lot of platforming, and you're just hoping that you don't get burned alive basically, since there are these rotating flamethrowers and falling platforms and whatnot. I was kind of hoping for a phase 2 where you battle the giant bat, but he just sort of turns into a purple light and we are reunited with our friend. A perfect happy ending. Oh, except there's a cliffhanger at the end. Hopefully we can see another game by this creator, either based in the same world or with similar mechanics, because honestly this game was just so enjoyable to play and deserves so much more attention. So guys, I've got one more game to show you today, but before I do, I would like to ask you something. Depending on how well this video does, I will probably do something similar soon, so it'd be great if you could recommend a genre you would like to see me explore in Dreams. I'll have a pull up in the corner of the screen, but if you could recommend something else in the comments, that would be awesome as well. If you like this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe and gently push that like button, because you need to leave it intact for other people to use. That will motivate me to maybe have another video out in a week rather than 2 months. So, here we go, the last game, Quest for Cheese 3. I'm sure you've all played the original, but the Quest for Cheese saga is currently a trilogy. Having promised in my last video I'd play Quest for Cheese, here you go, not that anyone watched my last video. The game begins with Wallace from Wallace and Gromit in 8-bit Little Big Planet. Oh yeah, if somehow you haven't had the pleasure of experiencing Quest for Cheese, just don't question anything and go with it. This is the third installment, but they're all basically self-contained stories. I haven't played the second one, but enjoyed the third all the same, though I might be missing out on some of the deeper and more complex elements of the lore. The plot this time around is that Wallace wants cheese, but is run out. So of course he heads to the shop, which is also run out of cheese. The reason for this is the coronavirus. Therefore, Wallace embarks on an epic journey to defeat the Karen. Before Wallace can battle the Karen, he must traverse a multitude of alien worlds, which also happen to be canonical in the Wallace and Gromit cinematic universe. The first of these places happens to be the natural habitat of the first boss. Having not played the second game, I must have missed Wallace's training arc, because so much raw power is unfamiliar to me. In truth, not even turning my phone off will save me from Duolingo Bird. Every day I get a notification, I get emails, I get letters through my front door, and should I complete a lesson, my head is filled with useless knowledge like how to say "excuse me, I am an apple," though that is still more useful than "the pig is in the swimming pool." Thank you, primary school French teacher. Like Elven, Quest for Cheese also features platforming. Unlike Elven, however, there is no combat, it's just platforming. In fact, I could go as far to say Quest for Cheese is not an RPG at all, but a crude 3D platformer with the lack of any interesting game mechanics whatsoever. But I won't say that, because Quest for Cheese is the most sophisticated, gameplay-intensive, morally ambiguous RPG narrative ever conceived by man.
Me falling down the stairs.
A man has fallen into the Reaper Dreams.
Though I would say Quest for Cheese 3 is a lot better gameplay-wise than the original, featuring an actual boss fight. And a little tip for those of you who want to make your boss fight more enjoyable, just add Undertale music. Quest for Cheese is proof that this formula works every time. The climax of the game is the epic battle against the ultimate Karen, which is basically just another long platforming section with Undertale music and therefore really freaking awesome. Also, this game clearly features a complex involved narrative as it has multiple endings. These multiple endings aren't just thrown in to give the illusion of player choice. This isn't another Shadow the Hedgehog. However, I don't want to spoil any of the various endings, so I'll be ending this video here. Thanks for watching, all of you who made it to the end of this video. I've been promising for a long time that I'll do some sort of video actually making something in Dreams, but I'm not really sure how popular that will be. I do have a game planned. I've had various planned in the past, but this one I think I'll stick to. I was thinking of doing various tutorial style videos as I make various aspects of the game, starting with how to make a character creation menu. If you want to see something like this sometime in the next month, alongside other more frequent uploads, make sure you like and subscribe, as that lets me know you want to see more, and will motivate me to make videos less trashy than some of the ones I was making last year. If I gain enough popularity making Dreams videos, I hope that one day I'll be able to make a video on a game that isn't Dreams. But that's a long way off. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you later.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. I've got a letter and a lot of gold. Something about it being your, inheritance. Oh, and sorry for your loss. Looks like that's it. Got to go.